Charlie Day talks about bird law. There absolutely is bird law. There's also dog law. So I want to talk just about the other things that wasn't central to my own personal, situation with dogs, but just general dog laws, okay? So just to kind of wrap up the dog laws I got on LexisNexis 2019, and all these laws come from the 2018 state code. So this is, the most up-to-date dog laws for Colorado. The first thing I want to mention, I've mentioned some of these before. Some of these are repeats, but there's some new stuff here too. So there's a dog worrying livestock law. If the dog is worrying the goats or the sheep or the pigs or the chickens, then that dog can be killed. It is okay to kill a dog if it worries the livestock. So this is good and bad for dogs. If it's a dog that's protecting the goats, then that means the dog protecting the goats can attack the dog that's worrying the goats. And this is a remarkable law to me. I think it's right. I think that's a good threshold. Don't worry the livestock. So it's not scaring them. Don't threaten them. They're just dumb animals. That's actually a law, or the definition of what an animal is. Any dumb living being. So if a dumb living being is threatening other dumb living beings, then another dumb living being can attack that, the dog, the herding dog can attack the domestic or wild dog that's worrying the livestock. So I think it's right. That's right. It just, we're protecting livestock, it seems, to a degree much more than we're protecting people. If dogs worry people, there's dogs in Pueblo that just run out of their yards and chase people. There's, you can have your dog inside your yard, and part of me, if it's, barking like crazy, like the Sandlot dog, if you ever seen that movie, The Sandlot, but basically it's not a rabid dog, but up to the point of being just so psycho, it's like, oh shit, that's a rabid dog, and it's just hitting just growling, and it's just barking at anything that it sees, and just acting fucking crazy. You want to have a guard dog, but you don't want to have a vicious dog that's going to, break out and bite, whatever. So, the dogs shouldn't worry people either. They shouldn't worry the livestock. They shouldn't worry children. They shouldn't worry men, women. The livestock have no political rights. The only way that livestock has political rights is because they're the property of a person, man, woman, or child. So by extension of them having property, their property is to be protected. And so dogs worrying the livestock, if they're worried, they're not going to produce the milk. They're not going to get, strong, big and strong, so they won't produce as much meat. So that's a Colorado, one of the laws in Colorado, that you can't worry the livestock, dogs, so, But they also shouldn't worry any peaceful, lawful person either. Excuse me. So here's something that a local county board could do. This isn't state law. State law says you can't ban any breeds of dogs. So pit bulls, Doberman, Pinscher, what's that, Siberian? No, there's some dog that, a Rhodesian something, bloodhound or some shit. So you can't ban a specific breed of dog. That's a statewide law. The counties can't do shit about that. Now, if it is deemed advisable in the interest of public health and safety, the Board of Health of an organized health department, or a county board of health, so the Board of Health of an organized health department, if, Conejos, Castillo, Alamosa County has an organized health department, or the county board of health, they can order that all dogs, cats, other pet animals, or other mammals in the county or district be vaccinated against rabies. So they can order a blanket vaccine on rabies for all the pets. That is CRS 25-4-607. 25-4-607. So that law just says that the county government can make sure that all the animals, all the pets And, all the domestic animals inside their jurisdiction, inside their county, must be vaccinated against rabies. All dogs suspected of rabies are to be picked up immediately. Oh, that dog's got rabies, then it gets picked up. This is 25-4-6-10. Any dogs not inoculated as per the county order, running wild at large or not, can be picked up. So they say, okay, everybody has to get the rabies shot, and your dog doesn't, hasn't got the rabies shot, then that dog could be picked up and put into the pound. Now, the laws, it says it's a $100 fine or 30 days in jail. So if Conejos County passed a law saying all the dogs need to be vaccinated against rabies, and the people don't do it, they could take your dog and then give you a $100 fine and put you in jail for 30 days. So I think that's a smart idea. Do you want, the animals, who knows what kind of diseases these animals have? You have swine flu, bird flu, cowpox, you have monkeypox. There's, all these damn animals are just sharing all their diseases with us, and, it's creating epidemics and shit. So rabies is, there's a vaccine out there. Get the vaccine, they'll never get rabies again. There's CRS 25-5-112, 29-5-112. This is called the Dog Protection Act. Now, this is for police officers to take precaution before they go and shoot a dog. They're supposed to get training so they can listen to the signs, so they can tell if the dog's bark is vicious or if it's just friendly, to stop police from killing dogs. So again, do they have training about, not killing people? Is there any, if you're a soldier in Iraq, there's rules of engagement. You can't shoot at anybody unless they're shooting back at you. But here in the States, if you got a candy bar and it's, dark and they get scared, well, they could go ahead and gun you down. Nobody has to be shooting at them. And children, you're not allowed, the rules of engagement in war for soldiers. You can't kill children, unless they got a gun pointed at you or they're shooting at you. And so it would be nice if we extend the same protections that we have for the dogs not to be shot by cops to human beings too. So that's 29-5-112. It's very specific. They got to have, I think, 3 hours every year of training. Don't shoot the dogs, And so that's a law. Any wildlife killed by dogs must be reported within 2 days. If they kill a bear or a mountain lion, then at least 5 days. So any wildlife, right, any birds, any squirrels, if dogs are going around killing birds and squirrels, within 2 days, that's supposed to be reported. Bears or mountain lions, if they're killed by dogs, you got 5 days to report that crime. And then the division can bring civil action against the owner of the dog who inflicted the death or injury to any big game or small animals. So this is to protect wildlife. So dogs can't go around killing the wildlife. They protect the wildlife in Colorado. And so the dogs, unless it's being threatened, but it can't go out into, a bear den or a mountain lion's den. Can't, kill cat, can't kill wild animals, so can't kill feral cat. There's elk, can't go around killing elk. So any game, big animals, small animals, dogs are not allowed to kill wildlife in Colorado. 25-4-604. The health department or health officer shall serve notice upon the owner of a dog, cat, or other pet animal or other mammal which has been attacked or bitten a person to confine the animal at the expense of the owner upon his premises or at a pound or other place designated in the notice for a period designated by the Department of Public Health and Environment. Nobody can obstruct a doctor looking at a possibly diseased dog. So there's a strict liability dog bite law. This isn't it. This is just saying if it's, if there's a bite that happens, so this is redundant, but if a bite, if a dog bites a person, then it's going to be, put into a cage or into the pound, and then the owner is going to pay for it. And that's, the owner of a dog, cat, pet animal, or mammal. So if you got a pet monkey, a cat's going around attacking or biting people. And then 25-4-604 also says that if a doctor, if there's, a reason to suspect a dog having rabies, or a cat or some other animal having a disease, they cannot obstruct that person from looking at that dog. If it's diseased and they suspect it and they want to look at it, you got to let them see it. CRS 13-21-124-2. Anybody who suffers bodily injury or death from being bitten by a dog while lawfully on public or private property shall be entitled to bring civil action to recover economic damages against the owner's knowledge or lack thereof. CRS 13-21-124.2. So that's different than the dog liability, the strict liability dog bite law. The strict liability dog bite law, as soon as that dog bites, a person, that dog is going to be taken to the pound. That owner is going to be put in jail, and charges are going to be filed against them. And there's several things that the owner is going to have to do, not just jail time and fines, but they're also going to have to pay the medical bills of the person that their dog had bitten. Now, this is not the strict liability dog bite law. This is the civil action, the right to bring civil action. So this is kind of redundant too, but this is just saying that if a dog bites another person, then that person has a right to sue the dog owner for economic damages, whether or not the owner knew it was dangerous or not. And if there's serious bodily injury or death, then that's just, you don't have to prove whether or not the owner knew it or not. That just seems, Jesus Christ, how'd you not know? But if it's a small little bite, if it's a small little thing, then you have to prove that they were negligent, that they knew beforehand that the dangerous dog, that the dog could have been dangerous. So they knew beforehand and didn't do anything about it. So if it's a small injury, you have to prove negligence if you want to sue them. That's if it's not covered under the strict liability dog bite law. So those who knew that the dog was vicious or had dangerous propensities, the court, upon a motion made by the victim or the personal representative of the victim or the personal representative of the victim may enter in order that the dog be euthanized by a licensed vet or licensed shelter at the expense of the owner. It's 13-21-124.3. So if you're the victim of a dog bite, you can file a motion in court to put that dog down, to get it euthanized. And that dog is dangerous. It's attacked me. It's got, the taste of blood. It's like a shark. There's blood in the water. Now they've tasted it and they want more. If they've done it once before, they can do it again. So if you're a victim of a dog bite, you should be able to. There was a dog. I went to shake my neighbor's hand, and a dog came and it scratched me. And I never thought anything about it, but that's bodily injury. That's a crime. And, I wouldn't have pressed charges on it, but it didn't even occur to me because it was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? And, anyways, the neighbor was the asshole, right? They're sitting, let a fucking violent dog sit there right there, and I'm just supposed to, pretend that we're fucking best friends, and then when I go to show some love, I'm getting attacked here. But, yeah, because it had attacked me, now it's, bodily injury. That's a little bit, it's scratches, right? That's bodily injury. So technically, right, specifically, but I think there's, low, medium, and severe. So how big was, there's petty, low, right, okay, so anyways. All dogs that are adopted must be sterilized. If you're in Colorado, and you go to the dog pound, and you get yourself a dog, that dog has to be sterilized. He's got it, snip, snip. They can't have no more kids. So you go get the dog from the dog pound. The pound either has to sterilize it before you can take it home, or you have to put up a deposit, and you got to sign some sort of contract saying that you'll get it sterilized later on. So that's, amazing. That's state law that none of the dogs adopted by the dog pound can have, any reproductive organs. So you're not going to be, creating a puppy mill, right? You're not going to be creating a puppy mill where you're just popping out puppies for the entire world and making money from it. But that's Colorado law. No registration permit or license can be issued unless a rabies vaccination has been presented first. So that's also another Colorado thing. So no registration permit or license can be issued unless a rabies vaccination has been presented first. So registration permit or license. Now this is interesting. The county can make sure that all the dogs have their rabies shot, but that's up to the county. That's a county option. That's not state law. But this is saying here that no registration, permit, or license can be issued unless a rabies vaccination has been presented first. So I'm not for sure exactly what they're saying there. In the dog pound, you're saying that you can't get the dog unless it's sterilized and it has a rabies vaccination, or you can't register it or get a license for it. I guess you got to get a license for dogs. These are just the laws, and I'm reading it and I'm interpreting how I'm reading it to you. So when it actually comes down to, I guess you're supposed to get a registration permit or a license, and you have to have a rabies vaccination in order to do that. If you have dogs and you haven't registered it, well, if you go to register it, they're going to say, well, did you get this? Did you get that? So there's some folks in Pueblo, I guarantee you there's lots of people actually that have not registered their pets. They have not registered their dog. So I don't know who you'd register it to, the state or the county or who. But if you register it, you got to have rabies vaccination. So technically, all the dogs should be registered, and therefore all the dogs should already have a vaccination against rabies. So a county wouldn't have to do that unless they just assume that everybody's skirting the law and nobody's registering their pets. Black bears, 33-4-101.3. Dogs are not allowed to chase black bears. We already saw that the wildlife law, bears and mountain lions need to be reported, and then the wildlife division, can bring civil action against the owner of the dog for inflicting death or injury to any wild animal, whether they're violent or not. So that's, again, it's a little redundant there, but it's specifically the black bears. So not just regular bears, but black bears have an extra level of protection in Colorado. Now, the definition of animal, I was saying that it's any living dumb creature. That's 18-9-201, and that includes police dogs and horses. CRS 30-15-101, the county government can regulate dog ownership and licensing and make all dogs have their rabies shot. So, again, the county government can sort of take over for the registration and licensing of dogs, or they could just leave it up to the state law. But the CRS, they give the option for county government to really get involved with whether or not you have registered your pets. So the county government can regulate dog ownership and licensing. That's CRS 30-15-101. And if they haven't got their rabies shot, it's up to a $1,000 fine and 90 days in jail. So there's, that's different than if they made a emergency rabies vaccination order versus just regular get your, rabies shot and get it registered and licensed the way it's supposed to. So the emergency rabies law is actually more lenient than the general law, which allows county government to really get involved in the registration, licensing, and vaccination and sterilization of your pets. 25-4-601, this is for the inoculation against rabies. If a dog is suspected of having rabies, then the health department or the head health officer in the county, city, village, the municipality, I hate that word, the town, the city, or the municipality where the animal is located, they can pick it up or something, I don't know. So inoculation against rabies. If it's suspected of having rabies, it's going to get picked up, right? And it's going to be picked up, it's going to be reported to the health department or the head health officer. If the police can't get a hold of the head health officer, then it's up to the police to get rid of a rabid dog. And if you ever saw To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus Finch, right? He just went ahead and put the dog down. It's got rabies, it's crazy, just put the dog down. Now, I mentioned this once before, but I'm going to mention it again. This is the animal cruelty law, and it punishes a wide range of things, including abandonment. So we're going to go above and beyond to protect the wildlife, to protect the dogs, and, somewhat protect the people, but really it's about protecting the animals. They're just dumb animals, right? So we got to protect them. And that's okay. Jeffrey Dahmer went around killing cats, and then he, moved on to, he got a sexual thrill out of killing cats. So anybody that's, abusing or harming animals just for the spite of it, that is a crime, and that is bullshit. It's a crime in Colorado. CRS 18-9-202 is the animal cruelty law of Colorado. And I'll just read it verbatim and then sort of talk about it. So it's a crime to intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or even negligently to torture, needlessly mutilate, needlessly kill an animal, overdrive, overwork, overload an animal, torment an animal, deprive an animal of necessary sustenance, unnecessarily or cruelly beat an animal, allow it to be housed in a manner that results in chronic or repeated serious physical harm, carry or confine animals to a car, which is interesting, engage in a sexual act with the animal, fail to provide an animal in my care food, drink, protection from the weather consistent with the species, breed, and type of animal involved, or otherwise mistreat or neglect any animal or cause or procure it to be done. So not only can you not beat or, hurt the animal, right, which just should be obvious. You can't inflict violence on, innocent people. Who the fuck would be in favor of violence against innocent people or creatures? It's sick, it's sadistic, we don't need that type of shit. It also says you can't work it too much, right? So I guess if you have a horse and it's pulling a plow, if you're, living in the 1920s, you can't overload an animal. If you got a pack mule, you can only put, the amount that the mule could actually carry. You have to feed the animals. You have to house it in a way that, doesn't allow it to get harmed. And the interesting thing, carry or confine animals to a car. Carry or confine animals to a car. So you can't carry an animal to a car. You can't carry the animal to a car. You can't confine it to a car. So that means if you go to the store, you can't just lock it in the car. I don't know. I've seen people with, animals with dogs in the bed of their trucks. So if they're saying you can't carry or confine animals to a car, you can't carry animals to a car, I don't think it's just saying you can't carry an animal to the car. I think it's saying you can't carry an animal in a car. Unless, I guess you're traveling it from the dog pound home, but you can't carry the animal in a car. Or you can't, the confining I understand. Confining, you can't, go into the store and lock your dog in the car. That's illegal. According to CRS 18-9-202, that's animal cruelty. You can't find an animal to a car. Carry animals to a car. That one, that's a little head scratcher for me. You can't carry animals to a car. I don't know. But engage in a sexual act with an animal, of course. That's Kentucky. Kentucky just passed the law recently. So Kentucky, if you were gay, that's illegal in Kentucky, but Kentucky allowed you to have sex with all the animals that you want to have sex. There was no law against it. But Colorado already had the law in place. Failed to provide an animal in my care food, drink, protection from the weather, so you can't leave it out in the cold, you can't leave it out in the rain. And it says it's got to be consistent with the species and the breed and the type of animal involved. So I guess cold-blooded animals, a lizard or a monkey, versus whatever. You got to take care of the animal, as the animal is. Which is interesting because, again, when it comes to people, you're not allowed to do this to people or to children, but it's not like, hey, you can't torture a child, you can't mutilate a child, you can't needlessly kill a child, you can't overdrive, overwork, overload a child, you can't torment a child to deprive a child of necessary sustenance, you can't, it just seems like it's just so clear, straight to the point. And then the other one is otherwise mistreat or neglect any animal or cause or procure it to be done. So you can't mistreat it, you can't neglect it, and you can't set the situation up where you're, sort of reckless or negligent with the thing. But if you, went out of town for a month and you left the animal there, you neglected it, right? It's not being fed and nobody's taking care of it. So therefore, you're not abusing it, but it's being mistreated. And it says mistreat. So I guess you can't, sit there and just insult it. Hey, you stupid fat dog, you can't just insult it. So you can't mistreat it. So, when it comes to the livestock, don't worry the livestock. Don't mistreat the animals. But for humans, who gives a shit? Oh, grown men? They don't get any protection whatsoever. I'll just tell you this one story. And I wish that the same threshold that we're protecting animals is extended to humans. when I was in Virginia. I lived in Virginia for 2 months, and it was in the western part of Virginia. It was where the Appalachian Mountains were still there. So there was bears, and they would go into the dumpster, so there was a lot of bears. But there's these 2 dogs that would just yap all fucking night long. And it's part of the hillside, so it's like barking just right up in my room. And it does. Everybody else seems to be ignoring it, because I guess if you're up on the hill, if you're down, you couldn't, it's not keeping you awake. I talked to the cop. He seemed to listen to me, and then he went up to the top and talked to the people, but he never told me what had happened. And the dogs never shut up, so he didn't get the dogs to shut up. And so I wonder I bet the people at top probably said, well, that son of a bitch has been, no. Dogs fucking yapping all goddamn night at anything that moves. They're scared to death. They're locked in this pen. The people that had owned the house totally walked away from it. So they kept the dogs there, and they had some neighbor feed it, but the owners of the house, of the land, of the property, were not even anywhere in the vicinity whatsoever. And they kept it in cages, and they would just, to keep, I guess, robbers out of the place. But it's just yapping all night long. So it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I called the police. And the police officer came up to me, and he seemed like he was listening. But I mentioned that dogs can kill people. They can kill children. And he kind of like rolled his eyes at that. And he never came back. So I wish I would have used the argument. If I'm playing my music real loud, and the neighbors say, hey, his music is keeping me awake, I guarantee that motherfucking cop is going to tell me to shut my music down. I guarantee that cop is going to make sure a human being who's got political rights will shut the fuck up. But a goddamn dog that barks at nothing all fucking night, we're going to protect that. We're going to protect that which has no political rights. It's a dumb creature. So I like that I read the laws of Colorado. I've been asking people just to be moral, right? People don't know how to be moral, so it doesn't matter if you're moral or not. It's illegal. You'll go to jail. You'll go to jail if you don't act right. If the dogs are worrying the livestock and they're worrying people too, that should be the same crime. So I guarantee they would have shut me down, but that dog could fucking bark all night, so they got the freedom to. So anyways, there's also something else. I shouldn't say this out loud because I think it's kind of a bullshit exception, but there's a bunch of loopholes in the laws. I like the law of Colorado because it's well thought out. It seems like they thought of different instances and they try to balance out, all the different competing interests between different parties. The one law I don't like is under the strict liability dog bite law. If you have a sign that says, warning, dangerous dog. So if you put a sign up, then you won't get hit with the strict liability dog bite law. You can still sue them under the civil action part, and you can still put them in jail with another part, but the strict liability dog bite law says dog bites you, you go to jail, dog gets picked up. If the dogs return, they get muzzled, they get microchipped, they got to be put in an enclosed space. If the victim doesn't file a motion to get it euthanized, then not only does the owner get a fine and get possible jail time, but the owner also immediately pays the medical bills. There is, upon a conviction, of course, right, you're innocent until proven guilty, but a dog bites you, and it's convicted in a court of law, they got to pay your medical bills. You don't have to go to a civil, court, you don't have to find a lawyer, you don't have to do any of the research yourself and then represent yourself so the fucking judges and lawyers can laugh at you because you're just a citizen. It's not like the courts are here for you. The lack of accessibility in the court system for the general public is bullshit. But I just thought that was kind of crazy that, if the dog bites you, automatically the strict liability dog bite law gets you. It fucks you over. No ifs, ands, or buts. You fucked up, you're going to pay. But if you had a sign that said, dangerous dog, warning, dangerous dog, then it doesn't fall under the strict liability dog bite law. So therefore, you warn the people, right? You warn somebody who is peacefully walking the street that there's a dangerous dog there, and then it busted, out, and then it bit you. So they'll still get in trouble, but they won't get the hammer. They won't get that hammer justice of the strict liability dog bite law. So that just seemed like a a ridiculous loophole. A ridiculous bullshit loophole. Oh, well, he had a sign that says dangerous dog. That doesn't mean I feel your animal is an extension of you.